First there was Ben and Jerry. No, wait, that was Tom and Jerry. Then came the ice cream dudes. Anywho, fast forward a bit, and this is Luke and Lewis on Triple M Modern Digital.
That's right, it's Luke and Lewis for lunch on Triple M Modern Digital, and it's Friday, Luke.
Which means one thing, we test to see if our boss Dave is listening.
Yes, Dave Cameron is the big boss at the radio station here. He's in control of about 300 shows, but for some reason he tells us that he always listens to our show. So every Friday, at some point during the show, we're going to test you, Dave. I'm talking to you because you are listening, obviously,
Yep.
as we will find out later in the show. And we have a moderately special guest later in the show.
We were joined by Hamish Blake on the show today, which is coming up. We will be joined by Hamish Blake on the show.
Yes.
And what else is coming up? Also, Lewis has been making more desperate attempts to avoid spoilers on the way to work for the new Star Wars movie. But so yeah, we need to go more into that. Just give up.
It's, you know what? I'm seriously demoralized by this because the marketing budget is just too high for one man to ignore. But we're going to talk about that later. This is Luke and Lewis for lunch on Triple M Modern Digital.
Lewis, regular listeners of this show would be familiar with your desperate attempts to avoid movie spoilers. In particularly, recently, it's been the new Star Wars movie that's coming out next week.
And
I'm
getting desperate.
You have been taking all measures that you possibly can to avoid learning anything about the film, to the point where yesterday we were walking downstairs here in the building before the show, and we walked past a TV that's just up on the wall here at the Triple M studios. And they was playing an ad for Star Wars, and you saw a 1 second snippet of Chewbacca.
More like half a second.
Yeah, about half a second of Chewbacca on the screen, who was a character in Star Wars, and just went, oh, great. Now I know Chewbacca's going to be in the movie. Yes, of course Chewbacca's going to be in the film.
Yeah, but I know so much about Star Wars from that half a second.
What?
Now I know that Chewbacca's flying a ship. I know that he's probably angry.
That's what he does in the films usually.
I know that he's probably angry about Harrison Ford getting killed.
Oh, well, that's a spoiler if you haven't seen the last one. So for someone
It
who
came out like a year ago.
Yeah. Also, Dumbledore dies, everyone, in the sixth Harry
Sorry
Potter.
about that. And Snape's actually a good guy.
Yeah. But you've been going out of your way to avoid spoilers.
Yeah, I walked out of the movie cinema with my girlfriend the other day because they started playing the trailer and I wanted none of that. I'm not into it.
So you're disrupting other moviegoers just so...
And abandoning my girlfriend. Let's get that.
Yeah, abandoning your girlfriend in the cinemas and disrupting other people trying to enjoy a film.
A trailer, okay. I wouldn't walk out during... I mean, if they started playing the Star Wars trailer halfway through Transformers, that would be a bit disruptive.
Yeah, the real question is, why are you seeing Transformers in the cinemas?
Also, why are they playing trailers halfway through it? Very disruptive.
Yes.
But yeah, you know, I'm getting desperate because the marketing budget for Star Wars is somewhere... It's like $1 billion globally, and it's getting very difficult for a man to avoid it, really. Like, they're very good at advertising. I've started... I'm getting really desperate now. I actually started taking a 20-minute detour getting home from work now, because I normally get home by going to Southern Cross Station, but it's plastered with Star Wars advertising, which I could deal with because it was up quite high. I would just look at my phone while I walked at non-Star Wars related things. But I got to work yesterday, and they had put a giant life-sized X-Wing, the spaceship, in the middle of Southern Cross, surrounded by advertising.
Yes.
I cracked it. I was like, now I know there's X-Wings in Star Wars. I'm going home an extra 20 minutes via Flinders Street from now on.
This is true. I saw a Star Wars post about it. This from their official, the official Disney Star Wars page yesterday on Facebook. In the nearby train station to our radio studios, there is a giant spaceship, which I haven't seen yet because I've been driving in the last couple of days, but I've heard all about it from other people. So I don't know how you got to, even if you avoid it by not going to that train station, I've seen it online on my Instagram feed.
Yeah, because you're an idiot. You follow Star Wars on Instagram. Do you just want to know everything about this movie? You're going to get there.
I can't wait.
You're going to get there and you're going to be like, yeah, that's exactly what I thought would happen.
Yeah, and I can't wait. It sounds like it's going to be an awesome film, and because I've been getting so pumped on my Instagram, I went to a Star Wars marathon last night, actually.
I mean, that I can get behind because all of those Star Wars films are already out. There's no spoilers to be had there. That just gets you pumped up for the movie you're about to see.
Well,
I'm going into this movie thinking, I wonder what happens next.
When are you
I know Chewbacca's in it, but aside from that, I'm going in blind.
So when are you seeing the movie, the Star Wars movie next week? Are you seeing it next week?
At some point, yeah.
Because I'm seeing it at the midnight screening. So does that mean I'll see it before you?
Probably, yeah.
You better be a good boy, or
I'm seeing it at the midnight screening, okay? I'm seeing it at the midnight screening. I'm going
already
to buy
sold
a
out.
ticket. Is it?
Yeah, I booked it months ago.
Man, okay. Well, I won't
You're
be coming
not-
to work.
Yep.
I'm not coming to work, okay? Because I know you're just going to hold it over me, and I'm going to get this movie ruined for me. Hamish Blake is coming up soon.
But now it is time for this. Proudly presenting The Boys Book. How to be the best at everything.
Yeah, the boys. Woo!
That is right. We're doing The Boys Book. This is where I found a book while cleaning out my bookshelf called The Boys Book, How to be the best at everything, and which
Everything
it holds the secrets and the keys to all knowledge ever.
in that tiny book of
Yes.
100 and something pages,
Yep.
the knowledge that anyone has ever possessed. It's in your
It
hands.
is
You have the
128
power.
pages.
Incredible.
Long, all the knowledge in the world. Surprising, but from time to time we delve in to this knowledge, and I teach Lewis. Eventually, you're going to know everything.
Well, I assume on page 127 that the final guide will be how to fit that all knowledge ever into a small 128-page book.
Yes,
And then they read that, and then they used it to create the book.
but you're not up to that, young Padawan.
I'm not
So
ready.
let's. You're not ready. So let's just go into today. We're doing how to wait. So what do you want to learn?
Well, I want to learn everything.
Really? Oh, wait. Did you just hiccup?
No. You,
Because today I'm going to teach you how to get rid of the hiccups.
okay. Here, I have one problem. I don't have the hiccups. You just got Radio Mike
No,
to
I-
press.
no, I
You've
don't.
gotten him to download a hiccup noise
No, I haven't.
and then play it.
What do you mean? Play it. You just hiccuped. I can see you hiccuping.
Mate, there is. You
Lewis
can-
is trying to fool you all. He thinks it's an audio medium. He thinks he's going to blame his hiccups on a sound effect. Clearly you, mate.
You know, we do a lot of dumb segments, but I think we've hit a new low here with pretending to trying to trick the listeners into thinking that I have the hiccups. I think they're smarter than that.
No, well, I'm going to teach you how to get rid of hiccups today. So really, I'm doing you a favor.
But I don't have hiccups.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
See? Lewis, I've brought in a few remedies here. I'm
Well,
pulling up on the
if I
desk.
follow the guide, will Mike stop hitting the button?
No, you'll actually probably naturally get rid of the hiccups if you follow these 3 steps.
Okay.
Yeah. So just give it a go, mate. Mate, it's ruining the show now. It's becoming distracting. So
I
can you
can't believe you've agreed to do this, Mike.
can you just
traitor.
cooperate, Lewis?
All right. If they'll make the hiccups go away, I'll do
Yeah,
anything.
please.
What have you got on?
Stop. All right. So,
I'm trying. Read the instructions.
okay, the first one, I've got a teaspoon of sugar there. It says swallow a teaspoon of sugar. So if you want to get rid of the hiccups, first thing to do, teaspoon of sugar down the hatch.
This
is
isn't salt, is
Scooping
it?
it up now? No, it's not.
Okay.
Oh, I didn't check it. It's white sugar.
Here we go.
You did a bit of a hiccup on the way in.
It's sugar. It's
Swallowing it.
good.
Is that
Very
good?
pleasant. No, it's not.
Is it salt?
It's sugar.
Good. Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't labeled
It's
in
pretty
the kitchen.
good. Are they
Okay.
gone?
Are they got? Oh, still there. That's disappointing.
Oh no, my
Yeah.
hiccups are still here,
Yeah.
listeners.
Which means we have to go on to method 2 to try and get rid of them. Which is gargle some water.
Okay.
Gargle. He's picking up the water now, and
we
he's just
go.
going to give it a quick gargle. I wonder if this will get him.
Hey,
Lewis
that-
has
no,
spat the water
I
everywhere.
can't hiccup while I've
You
got.
just did. I don't know how you
I would
did
have
it.
choked on water and died.
How are you hiccuping and talking at the same time? Jeez, you
I
can't.
don't know. Maybe because Radio Mike's pressing a hiccup
No,
button.
maybe because we haven't finished the 3-part step to how to get rid of hiccups.
What's step 3?
Is eat a piece of dry bread slowly. So
Okay.
make sure you don't do it with
Well,
paste.
this is not. This is pita
It's
bread.
pita bread.
Well, bread. Okay. It's
Mate.
just that it didn't specify the variety of
No,
bread,
it didn't.
so I'll give you this one.
Thank
so
you.
what's slowly?
Slowly. You eat slowly anyway, so just your regular pace. Now he's eating like he's...
Yeah, I'll just eat my
I was about to say like you're the sloth in Zootopia, but that's a very that's a very niche reference to a kids film I saw recently.
You saw Zootopia recently?
Yeah, great film. Go check it out. But that's not what this segment is about, Lewis. It's about you trying to get rid of the hiccups. God,
Which
that's
I don't
still
have.
again. All right, this is the final. We've tried the 3 main things, and the final last thing it says in the final.
So stupid.
The final thing it says in the book is try all 3 techniques at once.
How can I
Gargle water,
while
eat
eating?
bread, and also said to count backwards while you gargle as well.
But that's not. Okay, my compromise is I'll eat the sugar and the bread,
While
and then
gargling the water?
No, then I'll gargle water and count backwards
All right.
at once. Okay, so I'm putting a little
Sugar
bit of
on bread now. This is his last ditch attempt to get rid of these hiccups, which is still happening.
little bit of sugar bread.
Oh.
Oh, stop it. All right, I've had
Yep.
my sugar
Now
bread.
gargle the water. You have to do it all at once, Lewis.
Okay.
It's not going to work.
And count backwards.
It's not going to work.
From a specific number?
Yep, 10.
All right.
He's drinking the water. Oh, he's just making a mess.
Okay.
And he's still hiccuping.
I spit all the water out. That's
All right.
it. Okay.
All right, no,
I'm done.
we're finished.
I'm done. I
finished.
gargled, I counted backwards to 10.
Has this gotten rid of the hiccups? No, it
Well,
hasn't.
no, because Mike hasn't stopped pressing the button. So
Right.
you've just got me to do all of this dumb stuff.
Oh, Mike, Lewis didn't actually have the hiccups at the start of this.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Sorry, man. We thought you had the hiccups. So we've just gotten you to do all this stuff to fill 4 minutes on our radio show.
Right. So what a waste of the all human knowledge in the
Sorry,
voice book.
everyone.
Luke and Lewis for lunch.
Lewis, I believe the other day in the city, you was having a stroll around and encountered a queue that was snaking around the block.
Yeah, I've been talking about this all day. I saw, because there are a lot of things that people could queue up for that are good things. Generally, when you see a queue, it catches your eye, and you're like, oh, what are they lining up for? Must be something good that I don't know about.
Yeah.
I saw people lining up around the block for a chicken shop where they just made chicken schnitzel, but it was on a stick.
Chicken schnitzel on a stick.
Yes. Which is a very inconvenient way to eat a chicken schnitzel, I would say. I mean, everybody wants a plate and some cutlery. You put it on a stick. That's not an ice cream, mate. That's chicken schnitzel
And
with wood in it.
did you join the queue? Or have you tried this chicken? Was it worth the line?
I have got what may prove to be a controversial opinion. No chicken is worth lining up for.
I would second that. It's not controversial. No.
Who's lining up for chicken?
Yeah.
And it wasn't even like a sit-down restaurant either. It was like you get your chicken on a stick and then
takeaway.
you can go away.
So it's pretty much a permanent food truck.
Yeah, and people were queuing up for it. And I just didn't understand why. Like, there are so many better things to queue up for in this life, and people are wasting it with chicken on a stick. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think the best thing I've ever lined up for, well, it's also the worst thing I've ever lined up for. The only time I've ever really queued for an extended period of time was 18-year-old Fall Out Boy concert. Outside Festival Hall for hours in the sun. Was it worth it, you might ask?
Well,
no.
hang on. Were you queuing up to get in, which is semi-understandable,
No.
or were you queuing up to get close?
To be up the front.
Part of a
Yeah.
Fall Out Boy concert.
Yeah.
I can't believe you
And
said
then-
that on radio.
And then as
That's
soon as
embarrassing.
I got in there, I realized that it's not hard to see over 15-year-old girls' heads anyway. So I would have had the same experience at the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the best thing you've lined up for? Or?
Yeah, it was the worst. No, worst.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever lined up for anything good.
I have, and I think you'll agree. The best thing that I've ever lined up for was to get into my local comic book store on Free Comic Book Day. So he's shocked. That's shocked. Oh my God, I can't believe I missed
How many
that
people are in the
laughter.
queue? Is it just like 4 people waiting outside?
No.
You just form an orderly
Mate,
queue between
hundreds
yourselves?
of people. It's Free Comic Book Day. The comic book industry organises free comic books. People dress up for it. There was a dude in a terrible Thor costume out the front being like, you know what it was? It was the nerdiest line I've ever seen, and it looked like we were celebrating a holiday, but that nobody else knew about. So the rest of the street was just incredibly confused, but all the nerds were hanging out with their BO and free comic books. It was the best ever.
And where were you situated in the line? Did you get there early?
No.
No.
I'll never do that.
And
I
did
don't
you
do
dress
that.
up?
No way. No.
So you
I'm
weren't
not a
getting in the
nerd.
spirit. Oh. Like I'll line up for hours. How long did you line up for?
Oh, about 45 minutes.
Oh, that's not too bad. I was like thinking like a camp out, set up the tent.
Some people do that because they're free comic books, so you miss out on the good ones. I had to walk away with a SpongeBob comic.
Yeah, like Garfield or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
It was pretty good though.
Yeah, well, it was free. You didn't pay for it.
Exactly.
I would say definitely. I'm now reminiscing. The best thing I've ever lined up for is free Slurpee on National 7-Eleven Day. Embarrassingly, probably like last year.
Mate, when you were 20,
Probably.
an adult male lining up for a free Slurpee.
Yeah,
they're
it
like
wasn't a large
$2.
line. Yeah, it was free though.
You know what? I've been thinking about all the things that I've lined up for. I actually have the worst thing I've ever lined up for. Last year around April, I actually lined up for your comedy show.
Well, I lined up last week, mate, and I'll be honest, Fall Out Boy over that any day.
Today we are joined by a very special but not very modern or digital guest from FM radio.
Analog, baby.
Hamish Blake, welcome to the show.
How are you, boys?
Recently fresh off a private jet tour. Not often do we get guests in the studio with such a musical pedigree that they've just come off a jet tour. We haven't had you two join us as of yet. Next week, though.
I'm walking around modern digital hallways. No, you guys found me shuffling around the corridor with a trolley, trying to steal some office supplies.
Yeah, you in today cleaning up your stuff?
Yeah, I grabbed Luke by the arm and just yelled at him. I was like, I used to be someone. Get off me, man.
And that's why we got him on Modern Digital.
You're living in the last week, man.
Yes.
You're off radio.
So for those who aren't aware, Hamish and Andy wrapped up their radio show last week in excellent fashion at Margaret Court Arena in front of 6,000 people. A lot more. I think that's more people than have ever listened to our show in the one room.
I'm looking forward to coming to the last show of the year for you boys. Yes. Do we have a venue yet?
Rod Laver. So we just thought we'd one up you on the last one. Nice. It doesn't mean we'll fill it, but we'll be there giving it up.
I wouldn't mind if there's like a Luke and Lewis, like the kiosk at Rod Laver.
We'll
you can invite everyone in.
Oh no, we were thinking the unisex bathrooms.
Yeah,
cool, man.
I was thinking
just in case if our one listener turns up, doesn't matter what gender they are.
Yeah, we didn't know who you would be.
I was thinking just outside busking on the street. I don't think we'll be able to afford the venue.
Yeah. And then that awkward moment where your listener's going home and you're like, man, we'll come with you. We'll keep doing the show. We'll walk you home.
So the big question, Hamish, is what's the plan for next year? Are you still going to continue the drumming, the musical career, or is that it?
Well, I mean, once you've got natural percussive skills, you don't give it up.
Well, you don't want to waste that.
Having said that, the electronic drum kit, I think, is still at Margaret Court Arena.
Oh, really?
That's such a nuisance to set up. I was upstairs, is it, Mike? Radio Mike, no.
Yeah, because it's because we were going to try and use it for, we were trying to do this thing for Mike. We were trying to recreate a Blink-182 scene, and we were like, I wonder if the drum kit's still in the studio. Had a look, wasn't there.
All right, it's somewhere.
Yeah.
And
fortunately for you, because that's a naked scene, I didn't want to bare ass your drum kit.
I really appreciate it, man. The last thing we need is another bare ass on that stool. Shout out to Guy Sebastian too. It got wild after. It did get wild after our last show. Well, that's the thing, man. Playing the electronic drums is not like traveling with a banjo or a guitar or something, where it's like there's a lot of setup involved. It often, I can't figure out how to turn them on all the time.
So were you your own roadie?
No.
And
even then it was annoying for people.
You were still confused.
So now I'm my own roadie, and it's going to do my head in. So I might even get an analog kit. I don't know.
Yeah,
that's why I'm such an exciting drummer.
My brother used to play the electric drums, and I assume he was really good because he would listen in headphones, but all we could hear is what just sounds like tapping on the desk upstairs.
Well, man, I bought... This is the third electronic drum kit I've owned because I have a passion for drumming...
Electrically.
And a thirst to be good,
yet
not the dedication or the work ethic to put in the effort you would have to be good. I think a lot of people are like that with instruments. But for the last, 10, 15 years, I've always had in the back of my mind, my thing is one day, I should get around to getting good at drumming because I like it. When I lived in a share house a while ago with two mates of mine, I was like, you know what? I'm doing it. I'm buying an electronic drum kit, bought one on eBay. Set it up, it got delivered or the guy dropped it over or whatever in the morning, this second-hand kit.
Yeah. We
had this odd house, this rambling, old, falling-down house that had a lot of weird rooms that were nothing, not big enough for a bedroom, but too big for a toilet. So we'd have an arcade game in one and, weird stuff all over the house. Yeah. So I set the drum kit up in this room that we had just two Eskies in. Set the drum kit up.
Esky room.
Just in the Esky room. So I was like, what a cool room this is. Now you can just come in, crack a cold one and drum. So, and I texted the housemates. I was like, hey, boys, new addition to the house, this kind of cheap electronic drum kit. Came home to find John, who is 11 years older than me. So at the time, he'd probably be 40. Came home, John, in his undies, topless, just drumming away, banging, just had to see, just banging all over the kit. He was like, mate, this is awesome. And I was like, have you plugged it in? And he's like, what do you mean? I said, I was like, it's an electronic drum kit. So I plugged it in, and he's like, mate, it sounds like a drum. Like, how long have you been here just playing?
He's just been using his imagination.
6 mouse pads.
Yeah.
Just,
Also, not a communal drum kit.
yes, John, please wear clothes in the drum kit. And also, I mean, we had a lot of rules for John. I won't
the
get into
third
them.
bearer.
I just realised we're not on a podcast.
That is the third bare ass on our drum kit. Way too much bare ass on drum kits.
How long are you guys going for? How long's the show lasting? When do you finish up?
Well,
Like for this year? Like when?
yeah, we finish on the 22nd of December.
Is there going to be a big final show? That's what the people want to know.
I have a very special. Lewis doesn't actually know about this yet, but I have a very
tell us,
special.
Lucky.
I have a very special Christmas surprise
Oh,
organised for Lewis. That's
What a
gonna
friend.
wrap up the year. And all I'm saying is, it's gonna blow you away. And I don't want to say anything more because I could give it away right now, but that would ruin
It
good
better
radio.
be another Scotty Cam book, or I'm not coming in the next day.
Lewis has an obsession on our show with reading my Scott Cam's original book, Out the Back, which we bought from the op shop down the road. You're not going to read it, mate. It's my book. Stop trying.
Well, now you've got 2 Scotty Cam books. You even took his new release away from me.
If you've just tuned in, Luke and Lewis are having a giant friendship-breaking fight over who gets to read the Scotty Cam book. We'll be right back
Because it's my book.
after this.
This is Luke and Lewis on Triple M Modern Digital. Thanks to Hamish Blake for joining us. He's just left the studio. And Luke, I don't know if you meant to do this, but you let slip earlier while we were talking with Hamish in the last break that you have a surprise planned for me.
Yes.
So now you've ruined it.
No, not at all. I was planning to tell you anyway about the surprise, not
were-
tell you what the surprise is.
You were planning to tell me that you're about to surprise me.
It's a scheduled surprise.
You can't schedule a surprise. That defeats the purpose of what a surprise is.
No, I still think that I know the exact time and day that it's happening. It's happening next week for your Christmas. So, really, okay. I haven't told you about this, but I'm pulling out a diary here. I have a diary titled Luke's Scheduled Christmas Surprises. I've only got one in there for this
Why
year.
did you get an entire diary? Couldn't you have just written it down on a piece of paper?
Mate,
Is it happening every day of the next year?
No. I've only got one surprise written in the diary. Mate, the diary.
You should, for convenience sake, you should rip out all of the unused pages that don't have surprises on them. Just because you only need one page in that book. One day even. Just rip out all the pages and then 2/3 of the final page.
You don't tell me how to do a scheduled Christmas surprise, mate, because I know you don't have one plan for me. So can you leave me to my
Well,
methods?
I might have one planned for you, but if I did, I wouldn't tell you about it because it's a surprise. Can I read you the definition of a surprise, Luke? I've just looked it up now. An unexpected or astonishing event. I'm expecting it, and I won't be astonished.
You will be astonished because it's a great surprise.
Okay, so
Yeah. It's a great festive Christmas surprise.
What have you got planned?
Well, that would be ruining the surprise.
That I
if
know
I
is
told
going to
you the
happen.
surprise,
Okay. Well, I don't know.
I know when. I can tell you when it's going to happen.
You know
because
what, I
it's a
think-
scheduled Christmas surprise.
I think what you've done is you've just gotten really excited with Hamish because we've got a big star in the Modern Digital studio.
No, he
and
said,
you're just
"Hey,
like,
guys."
this is what we're planning.
No, well, he did ask us how you guys like finishing off the year, and I really had nothing. Well, I did have the surprise.
Yeah.
That's how I was going to
So
end the year.
exactly what I just said. You
Yeah.
got really excited and
But
just told him.
Since you adapt, you change it once the conditions change, you adapt your ideas, and now it's Luke's special scheduled Christmas surprise, and we're all having fun still. And look, I can
we
tell
got
you,
the Bear Grylls of surprises.
it is
over here.
happening. It's happening Thursday at 3:03 p.m.
Thursday at 3:03
tell you the exact time.
I'll just check with my assistant. Just check. Don't have an assistant. I'll check with myself. Yes, Lewis, you are free. 3:03 p.m. on Thursday.
Yep.
We're scheduling in a surprise.
Yes, you'll be blindfolded, walked into a room.
Well, now I know there's going to be a blind. You're just ruining everything.
I'm not
around
because you
this.
still don't know what the surprise is.
Okay, well, I'll be expecting that surprise.
Yeah,
Basically, this isn't just a surprise. It's just a business meeting now.
But yeah, I'm sorry for ruining. Oh, I'm not sorry because it was intentional. Me and Hamish orchestrated it all along.
Look, mate, I know you've been fishing for this entire segment. I'm just going to give it to you. Luke, I believe that you did that on purpose and you planned this. Well done.
Thank you very much, Lewis. And are you looking forward to your Luke's special Christmas scheduled surprise?
Yes, I am looking forward to it. In fact, I know everything about it. I'm expecting...
You don't know everything about it. Mike knows about it. Does that make you mad?
You've been organising this behind my back, Mike? And what do you think about him ruining the surprise?
It's not ruined.
It was planned, wasn't
You
it?
guys
He was planned. No, he planned to do that. I saw him speaking to Hamish before the show, being like, "Oh, I'm going to drop."
I
this
was
in."
there! You guys are just lying to me!
Lewis, all right.
No, it was
okay.
when you went to the bathroom.
I
Firstly-
didn't go to the bathroom!
Okay, change your attitude a bit, because at the end of the day, I've organised you a very special Christmas surprise, and it sounds like you're being unappreciative and are just accusing me of not knowing what the definition of a surprise is. The fact that I'm trying and you're not even giving me, any sort of,
Okay, look,
just
mate.
chance. You're not giving me a chance.
Just to wrap this up, I appreciate the effort, but I'm appalled at the execution.
Prepare to be surprised at Thursday, 3 or 3 p.m. on the dot.
Locked it in. This is Luke and Lewis for lunch. It's time to do my absolute favourite segment where we test our boss, Dave Cameron, to see if he's listening to our show on Triple M Modern Digital.
Dave always claims that I insist even that he listens to our show regularly. So every Friday we put it to the test.
Yes.
And so far we've done it, 2 times now?
This is the third test.
Yeah, and he hasn't listened.
No, and the test is, what I've done is...
But I worry that he does listen. And he just wants to see if we'll follow through. Because we always come out with some sort of threat, ultimatum.
Yeah. And how we test if Dave is listening is, what I've done is I've actually recorded the amount of time it takes for Dave to run from his office to our studio. And we give him an ultimatum from when the timer starts. He has to leave his studio, his office, come to our studio. And if he doesn't, we execute our threat.
It's got to the point where last week our threat was it was bad weather and we were allowed to leave work early if we wanted to avoid the bad weather. So we said, Dave, if you don't come in, we're going to leave early. And he didn't come in, so we left. And Radio
Our
Mike
show
finished
goes till 2. We left at 1:40.
Yeah, and Radio Mike finished off the show for us. If you didn't hear that, catch up on the podcast. And we saw Dave later that day, and I bumped into him.
Yeah,
and
did happen.
he was like, boys, how are we going? And he's like, great show today, guys. So I was like, how would you know? You weren't listening.
Yeah. If you
we
did
tested it.
If
and
you did
weren't.
listen, you would have been really angry because we left early and still got paid for it.
So today we're testing it once again. So Dave, if you're listening, might want to start wandering down from your office because we've timed how long it takes Dave to get from his office all the way to our radio studio.
And Dave, if you don't make it into the office from when the timer starts, what we're going to do is some bad radio. We did a segment earlier in the week where we started combining bodily functions, so things like a fart and a sneeze, and we find that so funny that we can't handle it, which makes for bad radio because it's just laughing at fart
because
noises.
this did happen earlier in the week on our show where we played this sound effect of a sneeze and a fart consecutively. And we were going to do a break about like a bit of a segment about, what are the other bodily functions you could combine? But we found that so funny, we kept on laughing and...
We had to end the break early. And Dave, we found it so funny, and that was only one bodily function. What we've done for the next break, if you don't come in, is we have about 7 different combos, and when you combine them alternatingly, it leads to infinite possibilities of bad radio.
We have the sound effects locked and loaded in the computers. I mean, you could, after the break, if Dave doesn't come in, hear maybe a hiccup, a sniff, followed by a fart. And look, that's not great. We're not saying it's groundbreaking radio. That's why we're doing it.
Yeah. So Dave, you have 30 seconds to come into our studio or we will do bad radio, starting now. Initiate countdown to Dave.
The
30 seconds.
The Dave clock is on.
So he should be running from his office into our studio.
And if I was him, I'd be sprinting. We do not need more farts and more sneezes on our radio.
20 seconds, Dave. You must be storming through the sales department right now. I'm looking out the window. I can't see Dave.
No sign of Dave, but he would have to turn the corner.
7.
7.
Oh, is he going to make
Get
it?
the sound effects loaded.
Here he comes. 1. 0. Dave Cameron, our boss, is not listening to our show. And you know what that means, Dave. I assume you'll hear this in the podcast. We are about to do a bad segment after the song.
I can't wait. I think it's going to be great. I know what you're talking about. So after the break, we'll be discussing different combinations of bodily functions. Send all complaints not to Luke and Lewis, just to Dave.
Yes. So, Dave, when I say bad segment, I don't mean our definition. We think this will be great, but you are going to hate this. this. Right now, we are in the aftermath of our favourite segment, Is Dave Listening?
We threw out the threat. So we like to test on our show to see if our boss Dave is listening, because he insists he always is. But when we test it and he doesn't come to our studio, we often throw out a threat. And today the threat was we will revisit a segment that we did earlier in the week regarding combinations of bodily human functions.
Yes, so things like maybe a fart and a sneeze.
And we were talking about this on Monday, and let's say things got a little out of hand on the show because we thought it was very funny.
Too funny for radio, too funny for us to talk. In fact, it completely derailed the entire radio segment. We had to end it early. This is what happened.
The one that is still sneeze and fart at the same time is absolutely one of the most liberating things a human could probably achieve. We did not tell Radio Mike to get those sound effects up. You took it. You were like. You were like, what? Lewis is losing it. You were like, what more does this segment need? It needs sound effects.
End it. I can't even talk.
We had to end the segment early because you couldn't stop laughing because Mike spontaneously played the sound effect, which we weren't
Who
expecting.
improvises a fart sneeze? That's just comedic perfection. Well done, Mike, for bringing that to the show. We were just going to talk about it, but you took the initiative upon yourself to play the sound effects.
And so we've talked a lot about this just in our own time during the week of what other human bodily functions. So we thought, you know what? Because Dave wasn't listening, he could have put a stop to this. Now we're going to revisit it, and we've come up with a few more cracking combinations.
Yeah, Dave, if you thought that radio was a little bit out of control, we hadn't even planned sound effects. Well, today, because you weren't listening, we've got about 7 or 8 lined up ready to go.
And Mike's just going to have to be on his toes here as we reel these off. This is one I want to hear, and I've been looking forward to hearing it all week. The first one I want to get off is a sniff followed by a hiccup.
Interesting.
Yeah, because you'd inhale, but then you'd also inhale again.
Yeah.
So it's 2 inhales in a row.
Mike, could I please hear a burp and a yawn? See, because how would you have enough air left for a yawn as well? You've already burped it all out of there.
Another one that we were talking about during the week was this one was just. I'm sorry, I just want to hear a cough fart. Can we?
That's someone, because see, normally you might hear a fart and then a cough because someone's trying to cover up the fart, but this guy's trying to cover up a cough with a fart. The confidence, that's amazing. Mike, now this one I have been waiting to hear all week. I've been thinking about this. I can't, because I've never heard it, and I don't think I ever will hear it. Mike, please hit me with a fart and a sniff. He just wants to get a little sniff of his own brand.
This is the best thing we've ever done.
Thank you very much, Dave Cameron, for not listening to our show, because then we get to do things like this.
This one is really practical. It's a cough followed by an asthma puffer inhale.
Oh, that just makes
You
sense.
just hear that regularly.
Just makes sense.
But
Well,
you know what you wouldn't hear?
What? Well, what wouldn't you, Luke, if you got this?
You wouldn't
Do it.
hear. Pardon?
Do it.
A yawn. Oh, no, you don't know, sorry. Fart, then yawn. It's like
A sleepy fart.
it put you to sleep.
He's run out of energy because he's blown all his air out. What else do we have left?
That's enough. Well, what was the original?
It was a fart and a sneeze.
We haven't even done it. Oh, wait. What would a sneeze and a sniff sound like? Oh, it just sounds like you're sick. Never mind.
Yeah, that's true. You know what? We haven't done 3, have we? Do you have a trio lined up, Luke?
2 farts, then a sniff?
I can't play 2 farts at the same time.
It's like he's done 2 and then he's like, now time to breathe it in.
Michael, please hit me with a burp, a sniff, then a fart, then a sniff. Oh, thank you so much, Dave Cameron, for not listening to our show. Mike, take us out with a fart and a sneeze. This is Luke and Lewis for amazing radio content, thanks to Dave Cameron. Hey, podcast listeners, little bit of an interruption from your regular broadcasting. This is just for the podcast listeners because we decided that, this is just too good for radio. Also, we get fired for this.
So, if you're listening now, we've brought James Blake, who is a regular friend of the show, if you're a regular podcaster, into the studio. And James doesn't know why we've brought him into the studio. We just said, oi, man, you need to hear this. So something just went down in our offices upstairs.
Not just anything. One of the best things ever. You may remember
yesterday's
show, the saga of the combined bodily functions.
The fart sneeze sound effect.
Yes. So we were combining.
That is says sound effect,
So-
which we find very amusing.
And we haven't gotten over the fart sneeze at all. And in fact, we were talking about it after the show in our office, which thankfully is 70% soundproof.
And I happen to be recording another conversation we're having just in case we could use it for the show. Often we'll just start recording if we're talking about something.
How are you feeling, James?
And then
Not great.
right at the end, we'd finished the conversation and then all of a sudden
You just forgot to
I
turn
forgot to turn the recording off. And
Naturally,
then
we started talking about fart sneezes.
Yes, and then this happened.
Wait.
So that audio was Radio Mike saying, wait, and then he did a fart, and then
Can I add some context?
and then I sneezed.
So Luke just did a fake fart. So Luke just went to check if anyone would do a
Sneeze.
sneeze, and as soon that was in the recording, but we cut it. But Luke did the fake fart, and then I went achoo, and then all of a sudden I really had to fart, and I was like, oh my god, wait.
And we've actually isolated that sound,
I just want to
James.
hear it again one more time.
The whole
full
thing.
thing.
The
Yeah,
whole
the full
thing.
thing.
Okay,
here we go.
Wait.
I don't hear in real life. You don't hear me laughing in that clip because I left the room.
Lewis got up and walked.
He scored himself out of the room because he was laughing too much.
It was ridiculous. And what we've done is, James, just for you, we've isolated the sound of Mike's fart and we're going to recreate the pre-recorded fart sneeze using one of Michael's farts. We don't have a genuine sneeze. That is something that we're going to be working on.
So if we get a genuine sneeze, you'll hear back on the podcast about it, and then we'll splice the Mike's real fart with the regular sneeze.
But until then, Mike, hit it.
That is literally the worst bit of radio I've ever heard.
And that's why it's in the podcast.
oh,
God.
man, we should have done this on air.
How long do you boys have until the show wraps up?
Probably till tomorrow, I would expect. As soon as they hear
Yeah.
this, we're done.
After this podcast, not long, but 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I mean, Radio Mike, if you wanted a project, I reckon head down to Coles, get yourself some baked beans, some pepper, and let's not just get a genuine fart and a genuine sneeze. Let's get those bad boys at the same time.
Oh, that was... thanks for listening to the podcast. Subscribe, tell your friends, and try and do a season fart.
And I'm sorry.
Yes,
Mike,
apologies.
hit it with your fart, please.
Hang on 1 sec, I have to get it ready again.
Oh, actually, after that, I have another request. It's not over yet.
Do I still do this?
Yes, do my
right.
first request. Okay, and now I would like you to combine your fart with the pre-recorded fart.
Do I put a sneeze in?
Wait, no, do 2 farts. Your fart, pre-recorded fart, then the pre-recorded sneeze.
Okay. Send in fart sneezes to the Luke and Lewis page on Instagram.
Oh, man, I'm about to shit myself.
Record it!
Oh, that's so funny.
Thanks, podcasters.
See ya. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of the week of our show, and what that means is it's Fist Bump Fridays.
Get 'em up, boys.
Everyone start fist bumping.
This is how we do it. We fist bump into every weekend because it's the best way to start pumping it early on a Friday.
Mate, there's no better way to start the weekend than with alliteration. So this is Fist Bump Fridays with Luke and Lewis for lunch. Ooh, nailed it.
Well, I mean, it wasn't all alliteration. It was broken up into two sections there.
There was with an and.
I
there,
still
there was an
approve.
and as well.
Next week, Lewis can be on the show. Lewis can be looking forward to Luke's scheduled Christmas surprise. Sorry,
Ooh,
that's...
well, that was a drop.
Ooh,
Sorry,
Mike
guys.
started jumping.
Ooh, Mike's jumping. Very
I think
enthusiastic.
we're all going to have a good night. Whoa,
If you're
aren't we?
listening in the car, please pull over so you can safely fist bump out the window.
Yeah.
We don't want anyone to crash. If you're listening to this on the podcast, please fist bump on the train. You won't get embarrassed. Everyone will just look at you and be like, that guy's listening to Fist Bump Friday.
Yes.
They will
and
join in.
Thank you once again, Hamish Blake, very much for coming on the show. If you missed it, go check it out in the podcast.
But most especially, I would like to give a very heartwarming, thankful thank you to Dave Cameron for not listening to our show
Yes.
so we could play noise effects like this. Mike, are you ready? Please give me a fart and a sneeze. Where's my sneeze, Mike? I told you I
Did you
no.
just play a fart? That's immature
Mate,
radio.
Are you trying to ruin Fist Bump Fridays
Here's
by
the
not
thing,
giving
when
a
you
sneeze?
just play a fart, it's childish, but when you play a fart and a sniff, it becomes comedy.
This is like if I go to a restaurant and I say I want a Parmigiano and chips, and they give me just the
Can we
Parma,
finish the
I'm
show,
going to complain.
please?
So
We're gonna
give
run
me-
out of
all right,
audio.
all right. Give me a fart and a sniff. Worst restaurant I've ever been to. This is Luke and Lewis for lunch. See you on Monday.